Hello everybody and welcome back to Boss Bites. I'm the Bkbossman and we are back playing Kerbal Space Program. If you came and had a look at the last video I did, you'll have seen the satellite network we're preparing to send up, all linked here in the system. I've done one slight modification to it, and that's a couple of test launches. I realised that I don't have any electricity for the probe core, so once we get up there we'll open that up just to keep it charged up with the solar panels. I've created a launch vehicle for it. We're going big. This is the largest booster. As I said, I am doing this on creative mode. There are other ways of getting them up. You could use multiple smaller boosters to get it into orbit. It's only going into orbit. It's not going to be orbiting the moon or anything like that, but I'm using this big one because I want to try and get the vehicle into a geostationary orbit. And what that means is that each of these satellites are going to rotate around, are going to be stationary above the planet. Kerbal rotates at 6 hours, so these will need a 6-hour rotational period, and that will keep them above a certain point. So if you had this one above the KSC, it will continue to be above the KSC at all times. So that's the plan. Now, a little bit of research, and I need to get these satellites into an orbit of 2,800 kilometers. I've got a precise figure for it. Let me check it. Precise figure is 2863. Remember that, because that's what we're aiming for. So, as I said, I am doing this on creative mode, so we are going to go. I'm going to try out the big boosters because I haven't really had an opportunity to play with them just yet. So we have a nice big rocket. We've got a fuel engine here in the middle. The only thing I've done is I have put in. I had a bit of fiddling about to do. I put those drain valve things on here so that I could put some added stability. If you do a very, very tall, very big rocket, the stability aspect tends to go out the window once you start to get some speed up. So let's get this into orbit, and then once we get into a geostationary orbit, we'll start considering how we're going to deploy our satellites. So let's take a launch. Okay, so as we're not using any pilots in this one, it is all done by the probe core at the top, right in there. So let's take her up. This is quite a powerful engine that we've got here, so we're going to be looking at turning fairly early and making sure we've got a good 45 to 40 degree angle by the time this thing starts to run out. You see the whole ship wobbling from its height there. What we want to do is we want to get a nice easy trajectory into space. We don't want to be going too fast, we don't want to be getting up there too high, but we are going to be aiming high when we get up there. Already quite a bit of wind resistance. Probably could have done with knocking back the engine a little bit, but we have a plan. We are going to get this into orbit. That speed massively increasing. The KSC is miles away already. Just hold that position. Bring the throttle up a little bit. And prepare for stage release. There we go. Okay, straight into orbit. Into orbital lock. Let's check the map. That's a very high burn, so we don't want to be burning quite that high. Just want to maintain your speed. Nothing more than that really at this time. Just allow the prograde to grow. Keep an eye on your orbit here. This bit is going to take a little while because we are going to be aiming for quite a high orbit. So we'll just monitor it for a bit, keep an eye on it. As we start to, what we want is to see, there we go, we've just passed 70,000. So we can start reducing that throttle down a bit more because there's now no air resistance. Now, monitoring this time scale here, obviously the closer we get to here, the more likely we are to want to start to throttle up. Keep an eye on our periapsis. We'll just monitor that for a little bit. Just keep a good eye on what's going on. So that throttle there starting to come up again. We'll drop that down a touch. We don't want to be flying off way too far, too fast. There we go, just maintaining that increase there. Thanks to that massive solid rocket booster, we have got lots of fuel to play with in this. Just taking our time. As I've said in previous videos, the worst thing you can do is to rush. Try and get yourself into orbit too quick, you'll explode from overheating. You'll end up way too high and unable to correct it and just plunge back down to the planet. There's a million and one different things that you can end up doing just by trying to do everything too quickly. So again, that throttle's just picking up speed again. Try and drop that down again. There we go, just nice and gently, allowing the time to apoapsis to reduce. Closer we get to the apoapsis, the quicker the periapsis will go up as well. And that, at this moment in time, is our aim, to get that periapsis up as quick as possible. Once we're in orbit, it will be easy to adjust our orbital position. Down again. Literally on minimal fuel now. Minimal throttle, that is. So the time to apoapsis is actually starting to come down now. The more we flatten out, the more it will. Getting another reduction in throttle there. Literally tiniest bits of fuel coming out there. Yeah, alright. The periapsis is starting to climb quite happily. closer it gets to that horizon line, the more this is going to start to increase. So hopefully by the end of this video we're going to get this vehicle into an almost geostationary orbit, and it's almost for a reason. I will explain that once we arrive there. Take a little look at our ship. Just cruising. While we're there, we can actually eject. That's the next stage, isn't it? We can eject it, and we can now see our satellites in an array all ready to go. So why not eject that extra weight? Where are we? Yeah, 30 seconds away. And start looking at ejecting ourselves that periapse. Start increasing that speed a bit now. Sorry about the interruption to service there. I forgot that I had sticky keys on. That didn't help. Let's reduce that throttle back down again now. So, remember that figure we said from before was 2863. We're now in orbit, and we're approaching, looking for that 2863. And we can now, that we're in orbit, once we get that periapse to switch, we're going to go full burn. Okay, let's get up to that 2863. So I'll just throw that back as it rises. Three, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not far out, is it? I think we can live with that. So we now just need to bring this around. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create an almost geostationary orbit, because we want to disperse our satellites around the orbit of the planet. There's not much point in us to we could give us a geostationary orbit, drop off all our satellites, and then we're just going to have 12 satellites in the same position in the sky. Not really much point in that. They don't do anything. But what we're going to do is we're going to go out close to the apoapse, and then we're going to bring this up to about 10% short of the apoapse here. Okay, so we're going to aim for to bring the periapsis up to 2500, and we're going to use each loop of Kerbal to produce distance between us and every satellite that we drop off. And we're going to have a look at it, and we're going to decide approximately where we're going to leave it. So we might do one loop, drop off a satellite, or we might do two loops, drop off a satellite. But when we drop them off, we're going to position the satellites on the geostationary position. That's the plan. So let's get ourselves into the correct area first, and then we will progress from there. Time warping. So at this point, probably a good idea just to make sure you don't forget at some point that you're going to need power. So pop that solar panel out at the front. Even if we don't have any sun at the moment. So we are preparing to throttle up to approximately 2500. Not quite so much, please. That's the aim, 2500. And our node is in 11 minutes with a burn time of 14 seconds. So as in previous videos, we're going to be waiting for half the burn time, 7 seconds, and that's in 11 minutes time. So let's fast forward that to approximately 1 minute to give it time to correct. Just allow it to reposition itself. 2, 1, that'll do. Pop yourself back into position, please. And that just leaves us approaching that burn. So fast burn a little bit more. Reposition, please. Prepare for 14 seconds burn. Okay, burning now. Don't forget we want to be approximately on that 2500 mark. This is not a precise orbit. We're not in any need of getting everything bang spot on in terms of positioning. Okay, so that is our almost geostationary orbit. So we've got 2800 here, 2500 here, and that puts us, as I said, approximately 10% short on one side. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. What we're going to do is we're going to come back to this in the next episode, where we're going to be dropping off our satellites and positioning them at geostationary orbit. And the idea being they will stay in orbit around Kerbal and transmit data, help us to transmit data from the moon over here to the planet. That's the plan. Okay, thanks very much for watching. This is Boss Bites, and I'm the Bkbossman. We'll see you next time.